Welcome to HemaSphere. Today, we're going to jump into a topic that's pretty much everywhere you look. From slicing a birthday cake to sharing a chocolate bar. We're talking about fractions. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll see just how simple and, yeah, even fun they can be.
All right, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the biggest question. What even is a fraction? Then, we'll get to know all the different types of fractions out there. After that, we're going to roll up our sleeves and learn how to convert and simplify them. And finally, we'll wrap up by learning how to compare, add, and subtract them. By the end, you'll have all the tools you need.
So, first things first, let's get right into section 1 and answer that big question. What is a fraction, anyway? At its core, a fraction is actually super simple. It just means a part of a whole. So think about an apple. If you cut it right down the middle into 2 equal pieces and take one, well, you have a fraction of that apple. It's the same exact thing with a pizza or a chocolate bar. Anytime you divide something whole into equal parts, you're officially dealing with fractions. Okay, so how do we actually write one of these things? Well, a fraction has 2 parts. Here's a little trick. Think of the denominator as being down at the bottom. It tells you the total number of parts the whole thing is divided into. The numerator up top names the number of parts we're actually talking about. So if our apple is cut into 2 pieces, the denominator is 2. And if you take one of those pieces, the numerator is 1. And boom, you have 1/2, or 1/2 of the apple.
Awesome! Now that we've got the basics down, let's move on to section 2. It's time to meet the different families, or types, of fractions you're going to see out in the wild.
First up, we've got unit fractions. These are the easiest of the bunch because the numerator, that top number, is always 1. So you have 1/2, written as 1/2, 1/3, which is 1/3, and 1/4, which lots of people call the quarter, written as 1/4. These are like your basic fraction building blocks. Okay, you are going to love this trick for telling the difference between proper and improper fractions. For a proper fraction, like 3/8, the smaller number is on top. Think about it like a big, strong number holding up a small number. That seems pretty proper, right? But now, look at the improper fraction, 8/3. The bigger number is on top. It's like a small number trying to hold up a big, heavy one. That seems a little, well, improper. And last up in this section, we've got like and unlike fractions. This is simple. Like fractions are part of the same family. They have the exact same denominator. So 1/7, 3/7, and 5/7 are all like fractions. Unlike fractions, well, they all have different denominators, like 1/5 or 2/8. And this is really important, because it's way easier to add and subtract fractions when they're like. Okay, time to get our hands dirty. In section 3, we're going to learn 2 really important skills for working with fractions: converting and simplifying. Think of this as our toolbox section. Let's try converting the improper fraction 13/7. It's actually a piece of cake. First, just ask yourself, how many times does 7 go into 13? Well, it only goes in one whole time, right? So that 1 becomes our big whole number. Now, what's left over? 13 minus 7 is 6. That leftover 6 becomes our new numerator. And the denominator? Oh, that guy never changes. It stays a 7. So 13/7 becomes 1 6/7. See? Now, simplifying a fraction just means we're making the numbers smaller and easier to handle, but without changing how much it's worth. Let's take 6/9. You just have to ask, what number can divide both 6 and 9? 3, right? So we divide the top by 3, which gives us 2. Then we divide the bottom by 3, which gives us 3. So 6/9 is the exact same amount as 2/3. We've just put it in its simplest form. Okay, so we know our way around fractions now. But how do we tell which one is bigger? That brings us to section 4, comparing fractions. Comparing like fractions is probably the easiest thing we'll do all day. Since the bottom number, the denominator, is the same, all you have to do is look at the top number. So if you're comparing 2/7 and 5/7, you're just asking, what's bigger, 2 slices or 5 slices? Yeah, 5 is bigger than 2, so 5/7 is the bigger fraction. It's that simple. Now this one can feel a little backwards at first, so listen close. When the top numbers are the same, like in 2/7 and 2/5, you have to look at the bottom number. And here's the secret rule. The bigger the denominator, the smaller each piece is. Just think about it. Would you rather have 2 slices of a cake cut into 5 huge pieces, or 2 slices of a cake cut into 7 tiny little slivers? You'd want the bigger pieces from the cake cut into 5, right? So 2/5 is actually bigger than 2/7.
We are on the home stretch. For our very last section, we're going to put it all together and finally do some math with these fractions. Let's dive into adding and subtracting.
Adding like fractions is so easy. You only do one thing: add the top numbers. That's it. The denominator stays exactly the same because the size of the slices isn't changing. So if you have 1/5 of a pizza and your friend gives you 3/5 more, you just add 1 plus 3. That's 4. You now have 4/5 of the pizza. That's all there is to it. And guess what? Subtraction works the exact same way. You only subtract the numerators, and that bottom number just stays put. So if you start with 7/9 and you take away 4/9, you just do 7 minus 4, which is 3. Your answer is 3/9. But wait, don't forget to simplify. Both 3 and 9 can be divided by 3, so our final best answer is 1/3. Wow, we covered a lot. Let's do a super quick recap. The biggest thing to remember is that a fraction is just a part of a whole. We learned how to spot different kinds, like proper and improper, and we saw that whenever fractions are like fractions with the same denominator, you can compare, add, and subtract them just by looking at that top number. You've totally got this. And that is a wrap on our fraction adventure. You now have all the basic tools to understand and work with them. Thank you so much for learning with us here at HemaSphere. Now keep practicing, and pretty soon you'll be a fractions expert. In fact, look around today. Where do you see a fraction hiding in plain sight?